Live from Lincoln and broadcasting across the state of Nebraska, it's the Average Joe Sports Show. This is the place for Husker sports with the biggest names, the best interviews, and all the inside scoops.
I got a front row seat with a big tub of buttered popcorn and a greasy half-live chicken leg.
Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Welcome to it, a weekend edition of the Average Joe Sports Show. Elijah Herbel, Bill Doleman, Mark Kraynak with you. For now, we're expecting Chris Schmidt to be with us momentarily, and he's have a story to tell you as Bill pulls up the photos we have here. It was a broken glass kind of morning for Schmitty.
What? He has broken glass?
Not because of any hangover or anything like that. A dog knocked over a glass in the living room while he was setting up for the show.
Oh, so that's why he's not here now.
Old Sterling Schmidt did that. So we'll get the full story from Schmitty momentarily. But a weekend edition.
So the dog broke a glass, and now the dog is standing on a glass table outside.
Which, yeah, there's definitely no concerns there.
Yeah. Well, and people plan their entire weekends around this. and a broken glass from a dog is screwing up other people's weekends and Husker knowledge.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm surprised that's the first broken glass, because as often as, those dogs attack him while he's on the show,
yeah,
you'd think there'd be much more glass carnage in the Schmidt household.
I've recently had my dog trained. Cool story about my dog, by the way. Half Mastiff Lab mix was but only 70 pounds. So I don't know how much I believe that. Well, we'll see. 75 because, well, need to get him out more. That's not his fault. But he was trained in a prison. Like, so as a rescue, there's like in Clarinda, the Clarinda State Pen, they have a deal with the local rescue where like the dogs go there, the prisoners train them. So the dude, he's been locked up, right? Like he doesn't do anything wrong. He doesn't want to go back to the pen. But then I had to have him recently trained again, and he already had like a good baseline and all that. I'm saying all that to be like, I'm pretty sure Chris's dogs have never been trained. Like, I think he is just like, what do they say? Raw dogging it. He's raw dogging it with the dogs. They are not well behaved. Good pups and all that. But right on cue, Chris shows up. Chris, we were just debating whether or not James in the stream dog was being a glass hole. So Chris, are your dogs, are they trained? I know they're good pups, but are they actually trained? Like, do they know sit down? Do they mind you? Or they kind of seem like they're free roaming wolves that can just kind of do whatever.
They're all three pricks. They suck. At least this morning. Well, you've met Gertie Kraynak. Elijah, you've met Gertie. Doleman, you've met Gertie, the German. Mm-hmm. And even though she's 7 years old, if you put her away and she doesn't want to go, we have an unfinished area in our basement. That's where the pups live. Yeah. Gertie's got her dog bed because she's escaped thousands of times from kennels. And once she injured
amazing.
herself. So she's got her dog bed, and if she gets pissed off, she'll drop a deuce out of spite. She'll pee everywhere. She'll go attack my bookcase. So she's ripped up.
Maladaptive behaviors.
Yeah, I walked in one time, and there's like my Switzer biography shredded. She wanted some afternoon reading, apparently. She almost got my Leach biography, but no, listen, you turned me on to a trainer that you knew a while back, and
at the prison?
No. But that lasted about a day. Roz just went for grooming. Aaron took her to go get groomed. So the other two are going nuts out back. And then Sterling, our Bernedoodle, the little bastard that was on the top of the table, he's trying to break more glass. Our patio table, he leaps up there, and he's just standing there after he shatters my glass here. Says, "What are you looking at, old man?" So Let me check my mic here.
Yeah, Schmidt, you say I have your volume maxed out here. So if you could, I think flip over to your actual mic. I think you're coming through your laptop mic.
Have you paid your bill?
There's a few bills here stacked up.
There we go.
There we go.
I thought he was just going Delilah or John Tesh on us this morning.
Our audio technician, our Coach Brandon chasing 10. Our audio technician.
My dogs suck. I am sorry I'm late. You know how glass is, man. I'm good after years of being a grocery store employee, cleaning up aisle 4. So I know how to clean up glass exquisitely well. But no, this glass that broke, Doleman, you started Lincoln's Big Time Sports 20 years ago with ESPN. Mm-hmm. And the mothership actually once upon a time says, "Hey, good job, fellas." They sent a glass for coffee or booze with a handle. It was a nice glass. And I finally, Elijah can attest to this, there's a lot of stuff on my desk. I don't sit at my little cubicle very often.
You're not.
But it's like, all right, I'm going to take this home and I'm going to wash it and I'm going to actually use it. It's been here like 3 days post.
Oh man!
After like 20 years of sitting on my desk, and the little bastard says, "Oh, there's a napkin. Maybe there's some remnants of chicken on it." So he tries to do the waiter trick where you pull the tablecloth out underneath the plates.
Yeah.
Crash. So yeah, that's a long story. But to your original question, my dogs all suck. They don't mind. But they're
that was the vibe we got. And as Puffins United says in the stream, we don't want excuses, Chris. We want results.
That's fair. Results. Well, it got me to thinking, how fragile is this season?
That is not what you got you thinking about. I was premeditated.
No.
You can tell.
No, what spurred the idea at 7:45? Crash and burn, clean up. How's that going to go?
I have a quick story to tell here first before we get into that, Schmidt. I think you'd appreciate it. I woke up very confused this morning because what do I wake up to but the sound of Chris Schmidt's voice?
How?
Playing somewhat loudly. Apparently, my roommate Darren fell asleep last night with the Average Joe Sports Show loudly playing in his room. Oh. I'm not sure how many episodes he made it through.
Because I put many to sleep.
It must have been autoplay. And that's what I was going to say. I don't know if Schmidt's voice has ever lulled anyone to sleep.
That's a profound amount of validation from your roommate. No. That's really good.
I do appreciate him tuning in, but my alarm goes off. I wake up and I go, why do I hear Schmidt's voice? And I walk down the hallway, and thankfully he was not in my home.
It's a little too weird, Schmidt. What are you doing?
Please tell me it was a cameo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was. I think it was one of our Big Tim Today shows. So thank you, Darren. Appreciate that. He's probably still asleep at this point in time.
Listening to Schmitty, it's the Average Joe Sports Show sleep aid.
That's what we've been trying to do.
The Average Joe Sports
trying to avoid.
Is Average Joe Sports Show ASMR edition.
We will put you to sleep. We will put you to sleep. Tune in.
Fellas, are you ready? It is football time. It is kickoff time in 33 days, but camp gets rolling on Monday.
9-3.
Okay.
Here we come. Tuck ourselves into that every year.
I know. We are going to go through the schedule probably the Saturday before.
No. We've actually had a little pre-game discussion about this.
Oh, so what are we
while
doing?
You were cleaning up glass on aisle 5.
What are we doing?
Well, this is a debate that we're going to have, right?
Okay. How do you want us to do our predictions?
I don't know if you remember, I spent the bulk of last week's show building a spreadsheet, color-coded.
No, I know.
Formulas,
it looks great. Fabulous.
Font choices, bolds, shading, borders. I mean, everything. This thing is like the Cadillac of spreadsheets. And Elijah was talking, he raised a good point. Probably should wait for the season predictions until the week before, because by then you've exhausted all the fall storylines and it just makes sense leading into the season, right? So what if we did a hybrid? What if we did a hybrid approach where with excellent Excel functionality, right, which I'm a master of, we can hide, right? So we can focus on 3 games, the first 3 this week, next 3 the following week, next 3, using the hide feature of Excel, we're not revealing the entire thing. I mean, people can do it if they want to keep a manual count, right, about what our season prediction is. But essentially, we'll reveal it the week before the season starts, right? So then everybody wins, right? You still preserve that segment or 2.
The sanctity.
Right? We still get maximum usage out of this spreadsheet. Like, it deserves more than a week, right, in the sun. That's kind of what we're thinking. But since you're talking to your glass repair guy right now on your phone, you probably didn't hear anything I said. So
no, the hybrid. No, I got you, Big Cat.
Okay.
We can do that.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. We'll hide. No one will see the full thing, and then it'll allow us to have full analysis, right, of the 12.
What did we end up with last year? Didn't we all end up 8-4?
Probably. I going back to
Mark. You still have last year's spreadsheet? Can we go back to last year's spreadsheet?
I don't know. I've switched computers since then. I don't know if I migrated that over.
I think I have it somewhere.
Yeah. We all picked. I think Elijah, you got hell for picking some crazy loss. I think we all picked Colorado.
True though.
Probably
some crazy losses came true.
I picked a Rutgers loss. I remember that.
Yeah. But it could have been. Let's get our starting 5 shout-outs. Good to be with you this morning. Weekend edition of the Average Joe Sports Show. Vogues is en route to the Tall Pines. He is in North Carolina with the family, and we'll catch up with Vogues next week, the Iron Horse. Gary Sharp going to be with us here probably in about 25 minutes or so, unless, I don't know, he has glass issues this morning.
So this is the in case of emergency break glass episode of the Average Joe Sports Show. So that's what the topic will be.
Well, and what that kind of goes to a bigger picture, the fragile part. What can't happen, right? Break in case of emergency with this team this year. If you think about a player that you can't lose or can't be bad. We'll get our starting 5 here, though. Walter in from Philly. Just a reminder, it's okay to suck at golf. Just suck fast. Hurry the bleep up. Walter, I've detailed, and I sent you proof of the pictures, fellas.
Yeah, we shared them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You saw Sterling on the tabletop trying to break more glass outside.
There's evidence.
Okay. The other Dave in, good to have you. Uncle Larry is at it. I suck at golf, but I like to play. Just let me make a few shots, and I'm happy. Black Hills Brennan is in from Spearfish Canyon Golf Club. That is beautiful. Member guest. Jeff Snitley, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty. Tuck says greetings. Coach Brandon says good morning. Corn Raider is in. Charles, good to have you. NASCAR Eric checking in from Indy. You have NASCAR Eric. He had a good Hulk Hogan anecdote yesterday, as Hulk was supposed to be doing some work with their race team. James is in. Says island time. Kick back and relax. Puffins is here. Mike and Callie, of course. You have Braska Raska. Good morning, Average Joe's checking in from Frisco, Texas. Good to have you, Braska Raska. Thank you for checking in. More comments coming up. Arlo is in. Game Dog is here. Game Dog says Scott Frost has a feature with Excel.
Guess who I saw at Shields last week?
Who?
Scott Frost.
Oh, did you?
And then
is he buying
an hour later,
hunting gear?
And then an hour later, at Let It Fly, Eric Crouch. I was like, both number 7 quarterbacks. Wow, that were really fast and good.
They waved at you.
Frost walked in. You could tell he was hat down, walks in, just kind of. I don't know what he was doing, but he was here at Shields purchasing items, probably with the $40 trillion that Nebraska paid him. I'm sure he wasn't interested in the Shields card to save 10%. I don't know.
That can get you in trouble.
What's he doing at Omaha Shields?
Probably
I just saw him,
supplies for his lake house.
he just walked. He's unmistakable too, right? I mean, he's a big dude, right? Walks in and his hat was low, and you could tell he was just kind of like he's just trying to be incognito. And I'm sure people were like, "That's the guy that ruined our program." Hey, I don't know how to feel about him. He won national title for us, but he also he said this was a bad job. And then Matt Rule corroborates it. Oh my God, what the hell is going on with that this week?
What is that? What is the lasting remnants from media day for you? Is the Frost response from Rule? I know it was the most interesting thing said, but there was plenty of insight and confidence delivered by Nebraska, their head coach Matt Rule, and the players. But
it was interesting.
The headline though was his defense of Frost. And I know folks are exhausted when we bring up number 7, but it was still pretty crazy.
I know, right? Of all things to kind of zero in on, but it did capture, I think, the conflict that all Husker fans feel. Most of us feel, I think, and that you do respect the guy for what he did, for what he came in and did. You do realize he walked into a pretty tough situation. Like COVID was nuts. I mean, it was just nobody knew how to operate in that environment. So
Saban did okay.
Terrible. Well, but you know what I'm saying. Like that's a curveball. It's not to make excuses for the guy. I'm just saying it was not an easy situation for anyone. And then Trev rolls up, and Trev doesn't like him. It's obvious. So like, it was. Well, it was just a weird. He was right. It was a bad fit. Like it seemed like the perfect fit, which was just shocking. But
he also used that time, that 4-minute dissertation to again sell him. How do I put it? Sell himself on Nebraska as saying, but this is the perfect job for me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the Scott Frost thing, but Julie and we jazz hands it here, and this is the perfect job for us, and we've made it into a great job. It was a great 4-minute statement.
Yeah.
And the way, Rule flipped it into a John Maxwell, go get him kind of leadership moment, Les Brown, it was masterful, but it was, him selling himself on Nebraska and pitching Nebraska again. So it was a typical Matt Rule kind of comment.
Well, and I want to just dive in for a moment. Matt Rule talks about doing hard things, right? You do hard things to get better, and if you do hard things, it ultimately, when you accomplish those things, you become greater at whatever you're trying to be masterful at. And Matt Rule's taken no easy job. Is that fair to say? In his career, I mean, Temple had a little bit of success, but a far cry. They were far enough removed from the Al Golden years, I believe. Mm-hmm. Then you go take Baylor. That was a job you couldn't pay people to take because of the scandal post-Bryles. You go to Carolina with that ownership, and you're not going to say no to an NFL opportunity, because rarely do NFL squads go after college guys. I mean, it's probably 3-1. Recycle a former head coach from the NFL, or go get an NFL coordinator, or do something along those lines. But no, it's rare do they go to the college ranks. You got to be exquisite to go get a hire and plucked out of college for the NFL. And then you take Nebraska, that's on turnstile number 4 or 5 with the coaching transition part. So he practices what he preaches. And it was such a wonderful high wire walk of, yeah, man, it wasn't great. He didn't come out and say, whoever had this thing before me really screwed things up. He didn't say that. He tried to unite, this Nebraska Civil War on Scott Frost with kind words, putting the guy's picture up, but also saying,
as a player, by the way, not as a coach.
No, I get it. But he also he also shielded him a little bit from what, I don't know, if the shoe was on the other foot. I don't know that the other guy would have been so kind to the predecessor. In fact, we know he hasn't been.
I'd agree with that, but I'd also say part of that struck me as the coaching fraternity protecting one of their own.
Thank you. Yep.
It's the coaching fraternity saying,
you're supposed to take the high road with other coaches.
Yes, and to say, I mean, Matt Rule could have dove in and say, yeah, it was a bad job. It's your job as a head coach to go and make it right. That's why they bring you in whenever you're taking over a squad that hasn't made a bowl game in a couple of years. He didn't go down that route. He's essentially saying, yeah, it wasn't a good job for the guy. He wasn't prepared to go turn a program around from top to bottom. I am, but he said it in a much kinder way because the coaching fraternity likes to protect their own. Mm-hmm. And if you go complete hit job on your old coach and run him through the mud, other coaches are going to take note of that. They take note of the fan base turning on their old coaches that didn't go well for them. So, I mean, I think Matt Rule is also looking down the road whenever he understands if I'm going to be here for a while, I'm going to have to go bring in coordinators. I'm going to have to go bring in position coaches. And those people will take note of a fan base that completely turns on a former head coach and runs his name through the mud. So I think he's getting out in front of that and saying, like, hey, yeah, I know folks are upset. It wasn't a good job for Scott. It's a great job for me. We're going to keep on moving forward, and let's leave the past in the past. That's how it reads to me, is taking the high road in a sense, but by also kind of reading in between the lines, you can understand that Matt Rule says, like, it is your job as a head coach, though, to go and make it right. He didn't make it right. I'm going to make it right.
Yeah, it's a good point David brings up in the stream where he says, how often did Frost throw Riley under the bus? Weekly, I mean, quite a bit. Game Dog brings up a good point too, though, of just saying that, it kind of pissed him off when he heard that it was a bad job. And there was something about that rubbed me wrong too.
Let me jump in real quick because he typed, I think, a little more eloquently than what I was trying to say, because I was avoiding saying that Rule made it about himself, because oftentimes when you say that, it's a negative. But he did turn that into I have made this a better job. Now, I did talk to some people out at media days tied to the Nebraska program, shall we say, said the same thing. How are you saying that this is a bad job? We have all the facilities in the world, all the money in the world. Ohio State's $168 million in the hole after winning a national title last year. Iowa State is $147 million in the hole and had to stop renovations on Hilton Coliseum. Nebraska, I don't know if it has debt. It's a great job. It has the most passionate fan base in the country. And that right there should be, the top thing on the list is you have people who care about the program immensely and intensely. Yeah. And so it was a good job when Matt Rule took it. Right. It was in a bad situation that he took over. But the job is still you're in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I agree with Game Dog to say that it was a bad job. No, it was a bad situation, but it's still a great job.
Yeah. Yes. Could not agree more. And so for all of what Matt Rule typically talks about and typically says, he's a great speaker, right? You usually are just sort of like, oh man, he makes a point really well. That point, I don't think that was one of his better moments. Nice that he was gracious to his predecessor. That's, kudos for that. That's being a good human being, right? But man, saying it was a bad job when you have everything Bill just laid out. Come on.
Well, again, I think, back to my point, there's usually if a school is looking for a new head coach, there are built-in advantages some places, but usually, for the most part, if a school has fired their last head coach and they're looking for a new head coach, you're not going to be stepping into a great opportunity, a great moment where, oh man, it's already made for you. Your whole job as a head coach is to go and build something that is down, up. That's the job of being a head coach in college football. It's not like the NFL where, this last guy, he couldn't get over the hump in the playoffs. We're going to bring in a new head coach. I mean, maybe Ohio State, whenever they're calling for Ryan Day's head, you could walk into that situation. But there's not many coaches out there that step into a roster that is ready-made to go and win and facilities that are ready-made to go and win. It is your job as a head coach to go and do that, to go get the facilities right, to go get the roster right, and to get the NIL right, and to build into a place that can go and win. The job of a college head coach, we've talked about it. There's a lot on your plate. It's really all encompassing at this point in time. It is your job to go and do that and to go make the program right. I mean, give me a head coach out there that stepped into a program that was a great opportunity where the facilities are ready and the roster is ready.
Yeah, of course not. Right. It's super rare. But at the same time, if Nebraska was a bad job, how many good jobs exist?
That's kind of what I'm doing.
Right. Like
there are warts on every job.
Yeah.
Some have many more than others. I'll say this. Rule has been pretty upfront and honest, and he's tackled some taboo subjects. He talked about the job. And the other thing you got to separate, to your point, Bill, job versus the program. Like historically, the program still has enough of an imprint in the world of college football. Now, 12 to 25-year-olds may not know anything beyond Sioux or 7 and 6, but there's a lot of older Nebraska fans that still remember that this program once upon a time was a powerhouse and has 5 championships. So I think the job, because of its turnover, was probably a bad job. Where your standing was in the Big Ten isn't great, where you're not even able to split year after year with like programs, right? You're not beating Wisconsin, you're not beating Iowa, you're not beating Minnesota. Forget about Penn State and Ohio State and Oregon. Where you're at in the neighborhood is, I mean, you're not beating Purdue, you're not beating Northwestern. You were in the lower tier when he walked in, just on your record. And what talent you did bring in, not a lot of them were getting signed free agent deals in the NFL or even drafted. So
or staying in the first place.
Or that's the other part of it too. You just were able to hop on out. So I don't think he's totally off saying when you just look at Nebraska take the name away, you're going to say, yeah, that's not a good program right now. And he also he's tried to tackle the in-state recruiting thing, right? I mean, that's been a thing that's
and how many of those guys are still left, right? Like,
right. I mean,
look at some of his first
recruiting
classes.
Listen, he has got to be uber selective on the recruiting front if they're going to go high school route, and you got to be good and in right with what you get on the lines of scrimmage, and there's been a lot of programs that have won recruiting battles against Nebraska, or Nebraska's got somebody higher on their board that's not in state, but he's had to deal with recently, of course, the bad job take, and not too far ago, the in-state recruiting thing. And if he's right, and he thinks he's right, then it's going to be okay. It'll all come out in the wash. Yeah, it'd have been cool to have so-and-so from Millard South, hell of a program, or so-and-so from West Side, hell of a program. But it's okay. You got somebody else that ended up performing for you. So those are two things that he's tackled, and they've been a bit of an elephant in the room. So I appreciate his ability to not duck and cover for that stuff. He is just okay talking about anything. Now, time to go win, right? And he said that too this week at Big Ten Media Days. So that's the name of the game for the Big Red. Go do something with it. Go do something with these facilities. Go do something with this training table. Go do something with the 4 to 5 stars. 5 of them you've brought in through the portal to upgrade your talent. And you know what? Proof will be on the field for Nebraska this year. Lots of excitement and expectation, but also some cautiousness, fellas, with the fact Nebraska's not done it for a long time.
Does anybody know what picture they put up of Scott Frost in the office? He said, we got a big picture of Scott in our office. Is it one of him with his hands on his knees looking down at the fake grass? Is it one of him, that look of frustration with his eyes closed?
Sideline
Is it
one
where he's rubbing his forehead again? Yeah. And does it say, don't be that guy?
I think it's probably the stump speech, I would hope, on the stage, talking about Coach Osborne after they won the national championship. I hope it's the stump speech.
Or is it the high mark of the Scott Frost era when he led the team on the field against Akron?
I would go with
that was hype.
I would give you the Michigan State win where he let him out on the field with a stocking hat.
There were chills for that Akron game. Tell you what, and here they come again this year, huh? Week 2.
Captain's got a good point. As you walk into the locker room, you got a picture of Scott on the Orange Bowl stage, right next to Bo holding the cat.
Right next. Is there one of Mr. Rogers riding a bike with a basket on the front?
Hip hip hooray!
Yeah. Yeah. There's the one old Ryle saying we're going to do 10 hip hip hoorays tonight after they beat Michigan State.
Is there one of Bill Callahan just buried in his play sheet while the program is faltering all around him?
We got the throat slash one from Oklahoma. That's the iconic Bill Callahan. Either that or the staring up at the Osborne box after hanging 70 on Bill Snyder.
God, that used to irk me so bad with Callahan. You know, like you're getting just drilled by 40 against Oklahoma State in the first half or something, and the dude is just intently in his place. I'm like, the answer's not in there, bro. Like, it is not in there. Like, my God. Oh, that used to kill me.
David asked a good question here, getting back to Schmidt's original point. If we look at 2025, what's more fragile, the psyche of the team or the psyche of the fan base?
Dude, it's the fan base. It's the fan base.
Yeah, dude, we are a mess. Are you kidding me? We have PTSD. We are like, oh, we're a problem.
And the players and coaches hear the narrative. We talk about that, both those dynamics. And I think if the players go drop one, I think you got enough guys on this squad to dust yourself off, and you have no choice but to try and respond. Yeah. I don't see this team being built full of guys that are front runners. I absolutely think that's out of the program.
Well, does the psyche of the fan base still rub off on the team? Because I think back to last year against Illinois, where you have a Friday night game on a little bit of short rest, and it's a game that goes to overtime, and we know Nebraska's been terrible in overtime. But it doesn't,
yes, they have.
It doesn't go your way. But despite the fact that Nebraska, had every opportunity to win that game and remain undefeated, they drop it. And we are going crazy in this postgame show because it's another overtime where Nebraska fails to pick up a first down. You lose the football game. Does that rub off on the team in any way, shape, or form? Because the team, post-Illinois felt different than pre-Illinois, you know?
Yeah.
The confidence of the team just felt so different and almost shattered after that.
There is a hushed, nervous silence in the crowd when it tips. And everybody kind of knows what it is and when that moment is. And everybody just gets real quiet. Everybody starts cussing quietly. And everybody just starts.
Your morale goes to hell in a second, doesn't it?
It's palpable. You feel it. And you're just like, oh, man, are we watching this again? Are we seriously going to watch this again? So who knows if that somehow trickles into the team and affects them in some way. But that's what you need that's why you need team members and players that are just oblivious to all that and defiant to it and are just they don't even feel it, don't even care.
Well, the easiest way to avoid all that is just to go win every single game in 2025.
That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Literally.
Simple enough.
I think it's the fan base, because the fan base has been going through this angst for decades now. The players in this era, and this was true in the Scott Frost era, there were so many freshmen, sophomores, and redshirt sophomores on the roster that you don't have players who have invested 3-4 plus years in the program. It's been a very transitional program in that I think this year's team still is 75% of those three classifications: freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores. And when you don't have the players who came in as a class, redshirted, and then work their way into an opportunity to play their sophomore and maybe start their junior and senior seasons, those fifth-year guys with, that had been around forever, that had been invested in the program, if you've only been around a year or two, I don't see how you have enough of an investment to have your psyche, be broken. It's like you invested in a stock and you've only been in it for a few months and you don't have a lot of gains. You don't have a lot of money in. Meanwhile, Nebraska fans have been investing for decades, and they've got a lot in on it, and they've gone through the depressions and the recessions and all that. But again, and players now, unfortunately, money's going to change too. You think they've got these guys coming in as through the transfer portal, getting a lot of money. Well, which is bigger, the big red or the big bag? And as long as they're getting the bag and they're only here for a couple of months. Remember O'Shawn Mathis when he came in a few years ago, and I think the reported money was $600,000.
Changed the program.
And O'Shawn Mathis famously, and I think innocently said, I'm really looking forward to, spending the next, 6 months or so before I head off to the NFL. Like 6 months?
Yeah.
There are guys that Nebraska built its program on that were in it for 5 years. And if there was a loss to Arizona State or Iowa State or Missouri, or the extraordinarily rare loss to Colorado, it hurt. Now I'm still getting my bag.
I'll say this, and the point David made, the Ohio State halftime versus the UCLA, the mood swings you're going to have as a program, and you'll how drastic will they be? Well, and the one thing that Matt Rule's renowned for is building a tight locker room. We've heard about that from this team, the accountability part, the chemistry build that you've touched on, and I know we asked about. That's very real. You've seen that, Bill, in your years with different teams, and that can keep you from derailing if you have a bad game. I mean, that is your saving grace, is who you have in the locker room and what they do about it, along with the coaches. So I think Nebraska, with some of the guys on this team this year, they can talk about it. We'll need to see it in action when that adversity hits. Lord knows they've had, even in the Rule era, plenty of adversity with things not going the way it needs to go. We welcome him in, the Iron Horse, back with us for another weekend edition. Sharpie, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Well, it's been a bit fragile.
You guys look so tired. Come on. It's the last weekend before football. I mean, I heard Elijah had a good wedding last week. Someone was at the same wedding. They talked about it. That was a star-studded wedding, by the way. I don't think you talked enough about it.
Yeah, it was the who's who of Lincoln media, really.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Ouch.
Yes. And Elijah was like one of the main people.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
So maybe why we look tired. I was doing some manual counting to corroborate what Bill was talking about, which is really interesting. Just about with the program not having necessarily a nucleus of guys who have moved through the program and are fifth-year players, fourth-year players, have invested a lot. And does that help you in moments of stress when, your backs are against the wall and everybody's nervous in the stadium because, oh my God, something tilted and now we're going to lose and whatever. So something interesting about this roster, I just counted up here. So in terms of total numbers, juniors and seniors, there's only 15 juniors on the roster, period. Right? Like that's out of 30 some guys. That's imbalanced. That's weird. You have 19 seniors. What's interesting about this year, Bill, because I agree with you, like last year, most years, the seniors that walk are either walk-ons that have never played, maybe 2 or 3 guys that were contributors, and then a couple guys that just showed up. But this particular senior class actually does have some dudes that have been here for a minute. Marquise Buford Jr., right? Been around. Letovsky, Harburg, Hartzog, Javen Wright, Teddy Prohaska, Derek Branch, I don't know, Turner Corcoran. That's 7-8 dudes right there that have come up through it that are contributors. Nebraska doesn't have that often at all. But they do have that a little bit coming into 2025. Could that be enough to get us over the hump a little bit? And I say, well, by us, I mean, I'm not a player. I'm an unbiased journalist, but could that be enough to get Nebraska over the hump, right? Of just having a nucleus of guys that have been here, that have had the sweat equity. I don't know. Could that play out on the field a little bit differently, maybe than we've seen?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that possibility. Some of those guys you mentioned are like frontline players, so they're going to have a hand in like pushing you over the top. I mean, it is kind of wild that 71% of their roster is underclassmen.
Dude, there are 35 sophomores.
Yeah, they have
15 juniors.
Yeah, they have 92 either first year, second year, or third year guys that would be sophomores. But here's the thing that is, and in that case is actually a positive. So they've gone from they're defending their culture now. Okay, this is how we do things. Guys have bought in. This is it's the standard. Is some of those guys have been here from day one with Rule. So even though they haven't experienced overwhelming success on the field, they at least understand the standard and the process. But I think this year comes down to, do they have enough dudes? Do they have enough fellas that can push Nebraska over the top and make winning plays at winning time? Do you think they've accumulated enough talent and they've developed that talent where we don't talk about, oh, here comes PTSD again. We just talk about that guy in the back end is a dude, and if they throw a 50-50 ball, he's going to come down with it. That's what I'm hoping we transition to. But, there's going to be there'll be some guys that have to play more this year that have played, but they haven't played to that extent. And that's like the ifs. If a guy can go from 10 snaps to spelling a guy to being the guy, and those are the things we don't know until, 4+ weeks away from today.
Sharpie, that was good stuff with the ifs.
Schmidt, get a razor.
I know.
No, we were discussing yesterday on the show. Should Schmidt grow out his beard for football season?
I've seen him with a beard before,
but it was dark, like 8-9 years ago. It's not anymore.
But you look prestigious if you would grow the salt and pepper beard,
especially with the coif, man. You got that Antonio Banderas thing going on.
Yeah,
Antonio Banderas. But I look playoff worthy.
You'd be like right in a reality show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, seriously, he really does have this. He looks like Antonio Banderas when he goes.
Oh, the hair is incredible, Mark. I mean, I'm jealous.
It's a coif, right? Yeah. And it's everywhere too. I got some parts at the top of my head have thick hair. Other parts, nope, ain't coming back. Thinking about going to Turkey. You know that's what you can do.
Yeah.
You can go to Turkey. Yeah. You get your hair transplant there. It's like a tenth of the price or something.
Yeah, or you go to Chicago and you drive by the billboards that say Urlacher can do the same for you.
You have a full head of hair
save
now.
A little money.
It's incredible. Brian Urlacher's hair is incredible now.
Is it? Brian's fair. He's like, I saw Schmidt throw a curveball at the Salt Dogs game. What is he? 5'8", 5'9", 5'9" and 3/4.
That was
with that hair.
But
with that hair, 6'1".
Yeah, there's a Fletch element with the hair. That's for sure. But
football.
I think if you do the beard at this stage, I think you're trying to hide something.
Hey, whoa! What am I trying to hide here?
Kraynak looks.
That's a foregone conclusion.
Glorious with the beard.
Don't answer that,
guys. As we dive back into football here, I do need to ask the question: does anyone care to comment on predictions from last season? I have those here for us.
Oh, okay. This is an embarrassing spreadsheet. I did not do a great job of design, font selection,
You're
color
fine.
choice.
It looks.
No,
looks
this is
okay.
embarrassing. This is embarrassing. I've grown.
Whoa. Now I know how you feel on Sunday mornings.
Yeah. So, right. Left out. I know. Yeah.
I'll just take off for a little while. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
And I was wrong earlier. I can't believe I was the only person who picked a win for Rutgers. That being said, I was the only person who picked a loss for Colorado, so it all
What are
evens
we
out.
doing?
No.
Dear God, we
How
all
about
picked,
Indiana?
This,
Yeah,
I
y'all
think this
picked
is
a
wrong.
win against Indiana.
No, hold on. I think we all picked a win against Rutgers.
No, I don't think we did. Pretty clear.
There's no way
No,
that we sat here and went.
And you called them
Gary,
Buttkers?
Yes. Remember the talk? I shout out to Triple B Printing for that one. They have a whole shirt that says "More like Buckers." But
He's my kicker. Back off.
so no, the talk at that time, remember, was, oh my God, they bring back 19 players. They just went to a bowl game last year. Greg Schiano knows what's going on, right? He's a program builder. That's going to be tough. It's a trap game, and yeah, we talked ourselves into that. Rutgers, I would equate Rutgers going into last year, if you remember, similar to how people are talking about Illinois now, as sort of the hot team that could jump up and surprise people, right? That's the kind of love that they were getting going into last year. So we convinced ourselves
we were all right on the money
happen.
with the Ohio State.
Yeah,
game.
give
We
us.
were all-
Let's all pat ourselves on the back. That
You
was
did
a
a
good
great
call
job
by
with
the panel here.
Yeah,
Well,
UCLA, not so
Elijah's-
much.
Elijah was drinking the Shador Sanders Kool-Aid. I mean, come on. What are you doing there, Elijah?
He's looked good for the Browns in training camp.
So you thought we'd lose to Purdue?
Yeah, that was a long discussion.
Yeah.
Trap game.
That was on me with the trap
Against
game talk.
the Buttkers.
I think what we
God,
can
that
see
game was
here,
awful.
though, is that none of us were right about the season total. So
No.
what do we do with that? Yeah, UCLA, we
We were just a game
here
off,
in
though.
unison.
Some of us in the win column.
Well, we didn't count a bowl game either, so we were 2 games off.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hey, A for effort,
fair.
Schmitty. I was right there with you until Elijah chimed in.
Yeah, moral support.
Yeah. So that was last year. We do need to get into this year's, and you'll see just the design way better. And Gary, I don't know if you Gary, I don't know if you heard this morning what we're doing with this though. Is we had an editorial discussion, and Chris wants to save the full season prediction for the week before the season starts. Right.
Okay.
By then you've exhausted your fall storyline.
We know who's injured. We know who's healthy. We know who's starting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I'm like, well, but then that screws up the whole thing we talked about last week, where it's like, let's just chunk this out 3 games at a time. So using Excel's hide feature, we're only going to zero in on 3 games at a time, not revealing our season total. If people want to keep track at home and mark that down, weird, you can. But so that's how we're going to do it.
I think we could also preview 3 games a week without making predictions. Then we come back to it that final week and officially make our predictions. That's another option here.
I like that.
I'm not sure I'm terribly up on my Akron knowledge to do
Doesn't
that.
matter.
They're not very good.
I'll be like, they're blue and yellow. Those are good complementary colors.
We could talk about a potential curse that may have come on from Akron back in 2018.
Ooh.
Boys.
Change the course of Nebraska football history.
Hey, I know
They
you're
just
not
stuck
supposed
around.
to. You're supposed to take every game seriously. The thing is broken. If their first home game they lose to Akron, they may win on a last-second field goal, but if they lose, Akron's struggling a little bit. Remember, they can't go to a bowl game. I mean, maybe they treat Nebraska as a bowl game. They can't go to a bowl game because they're not very good in school.
Well,
it happens. You don't get good grades. You don't get to go to the prom.
That happens. That's what some of us cling to during the prom era.
When are we starting that? When is spreadsheet screen share time? We should make that consistent for the remainder of these 4 weeks.
8:50.
8:50.
So beginning next week at 8:50?
This week.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll do the first 3 this week. Next 3. Next 3.
I'll start studying.
Sharpie, what do you? I want to get your take on media days real quick. Nebraska's. What did you think of Nebraska in Vegas, and also any reaction to Dave Aranda?
He's a very fascinating person that I believe that Baylor will have to respond to what he said.
Yeah, with little people.
I'm sure there's probably a response from Baylor coming out. He just is he had a wild press conference when he was up and he was being mentioned for the Nebraska job. And I drove over on a Saturday to watch Baylor and Iowa State play and got a sideline pass to stand there and look at his staff, thinking he might be the next head coach. I was wrong on the Baylor coach that was going to come here. He's very much like a deep thinker, and he is very worldly, is the best way to describe it. That was very odd, but very on brand for Dave Aranda, because he got to his point, but somehow the midgets got involved, which, I mean, you didn't hear that in any media days. Rule was in his element. I think he was prepared. He had some things he wanted to get across, and he's one of those guys that if you ask a good question, you're going to get a good response, and it's not just a surface level response. Sometimes he'll go deep. So that was, I didn't change my opinion on Nebraska or anything. It's just he's very good in those situations, and I think that they should go straight to questions now at media days. We knocked a previous head coach because that's what he wanted to do. But come on, a 13-minute filibuster where you thank your wife, your kids, your neighbor that is back home while you're in Vegas that's mowing your lawn, the guy that's going to wait on you later that night. People go there. They want to hear football, and also I think media days have lost their luster because the sport is 365 days a year.
And Bill mentioned that off air whenever we were doing our show, I think on Wednesday, just seeing how much it's changed since. Bill, when was the last time you made it to media days before this year?
I think the last time I did a media days was, it might have been in the Mountain West, which was fun because that was a fun league, and they were, they're trying to get as much exposure as they could, and so coaches were willing to walk down Radio Row. Hey, you got time, and you knew each other. It was a much more collegial league. This is 15 years ago or so. But it had a Big 8 Skywriters tour feel for it because the media and the coaches knew each other. You relied on each other. Those teams needed the exposure, wanted the exposure, and they're good guys. So it was easier to get that cordial interview, kind of like Schmidt had with PJ Fleck. That was fun. Yeah. But this just felt so corporate out there. And really what media days, as in my observation this last week, was for that 13.5-minute opening statement like Brett Bielema gave, that set the tone for everybody. He was the first one, and he spoke for about 13 minutes and took like 2 questions, and that was that. That was made for the Big Ten Network. That's what that was. That was for the Big Ten Network to say, now let's go to the podium, and Brett Bielema is taking the stage. Here's Matt Rule. That was programming is what that was. That wasn't even though you had the press gathered there to ask questions, and they asked like 4 or 5 maybe, but that was for TV. And then you also have rooms, 2 or 3 rooms each for Fox, 2 or 3 rooms for for CBS, 2 or 3 rooms for NBC to ask all of the questions that they're banking for the games that they have. Yeah. CBS is there to ask Matt Rule and Sharon Moore questions leading up to their game on September, 20th.
With beautiful lighting and the nice curtain behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. That national, then they had social media things, that they can use. But to me, it seemed much more structured for all of the network television folks. Mm-hmm. And then they had the breakouts where you had individual press conferences. And I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but for Mark and Gary's purposes, it was interesting. I'm watching Lincoln Riley talk to about maybe 15 reporters, 12. And then Nico Iamaleava was right next to him. And then Sharon Moore, the head coach of Michigan, right? They're basically all 3 in a row. there's 12 to 15 talking to Lincoln Riley, 8 to 10 talking to Moore, and 50 or 60 talking to the UCLA quarterback.
Yeah.
Jerome Moore could have been an assistant running backs coach from Colorado State. But right next to him is UCLA's quarterback with a gaggle of press asking all kinds of questions. That was one of the more stunning things I saw all week out in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cared.
Yeah, I just think it's a sport where, the media days were great when it was an 8-month sport.
Yeah.
But now it's a year-round sport, and it's a propaganda fest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, they moved it to Vegas for a reason. I get it, and James Franklin got in his little jab, which is true. I mean, it didn't look good on TV, because it just looked like there was nobody there compared to the SEC, where maybe they were in a little bit tighter quarters of the College Football Hall of Fame. I don't know. I don't think these will go away. It's just the importance and people spending money, because you spend a lot of money, and inside baseball they charge you for radio. I mean, it's expensive to have a radio spot there. So I don't know. It's like Rule will speak this week when camp opens up, and he'll probably give you a lot more of what you want. But out there, it's great to sell the program, and people are talking about Nebraska, and I don't know. That's just my feelings on media days, and it's been that way for a while. It's just not the same, because the sport actually is great because we talk about it every single day now, compared to we take time off. Oh, now the Big 8 Skyriders Tour is here. Let's go and have debauchery for 8 days.
Sharpie, as camp gets going, man, what are a couple of things you're locked in on for this team? Position battles? Is it position groups? What's some intrigue you have, man?
Okay, so these are not ranking, but these are random. I can't wait to see Teddy Prohaska over the next 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We're hearing this again, that he's in the best shape of his life. And if that's the case, that if he's full go, can he get back to where he was? There's always the thing in the back of your mind of, oh, here's Teddy, he's going to get injured. But if he's healthy, let her rip, and let's see what happens at right tackle. I think there's going to be some guys squeezed out of camp, that have been here for 2 or 3 years, that all of a sudden there's competition at those spots, and they're going to be the 4th or 5th guy. I think running back, we're all going to pay attention to, what the running back looks like behind Emmett. What is the role of Mosey? Where is Parker? He was a big-time pickup for Nebraska. We're talking running back where there's a guy that was playing wide receiver. They moved him to running back. I thought you were supposed to be the guy, but I saw you more on the fat bike during spring than on the field. Where are you at? Nobody's talking about him. I'll be curious on the tight ends. There's a great competition at tight ends. What's the competition look like at wide receiver? And then, and you hope this doesn't come into play, because knock on wood, Dylan, puts up another 13 games that he starts. Who's the backup quarterback? Who's the backup quarterback to Dylan Raiola? Is it the human victory cigar, or is it 2 guys that arrived, in the last year? Then on defense, I can't wait to see how the defensive backs pan out. I think they have a lot of young, exciting players back there, and there's great competition. We all want to know what's going to be opposite of Sierra Wright. But who else is going to play? Because I think they'll play a lot of defensive backs. I think they have some decisions to make on maybe not starters in Sharpie, but guys that are going to play. So I think this camp will be really good. There's some spots that are open, and there's good competition, but I think it's important that Nebraska has 4 offensive line spots locked down. That right tackle spot, you say it doesn't matter who's playing. It could be Kraynak, it could be Gatula, it could be Prohaska. They all play the same, and you got a good 5 offensive line that are across the board, solid, and they play week to week.
Well, and as I'm doing the math here, this is also kind of the portal era. It changes things. I'm doing the math in my head. You probably have 19 starting spots, maybe not locked down, but you have a pretty good, you can put them in pin, where I feel like, that guy's going to start there. I across offense and defense, probably like that 19 spots that I go, yeah, it's going to be your starter.
Yeah, I guess if you think about offense in particular, there's sort of one
1 to
guard
2
position
I
that you
was
don't know.
the
Outside of that, it's pretty known.
The spots that I have were right tackle, tight end, opposite corner from Sierra Wright. Those are the spots I look at and I go, yeah, those are probably up for grabs. Elsewhere, it'd be maybe a guy can surprise you and climb the depth chart, but I think you have a pretty good idea everywhere else.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see the depth piece of this because you're going to need guys, and we know from jump, Nebraska played a lot of guys, a lot of snaps. Are you going to be able to do that on the defensive line? I mean, what's the depth look like on the defensive line? We know that Rule expects, he was talking to us about how he thinks the defensive line can be better, and that's not taking anything away from Nash and Ty, but I think from a fan base standpoint, the comments and stuff we read and see, I think that's a big concern. Is Nebraska going to be able to stop the run like they have the past couple of seasons? They've got bodies for sure, but are guys ready to jump that snap count?
Do you guys think this is when he said that? Because he said they're going to be hell on wheels, and it's a concern. I'm not at DEFCON 5, but do you think he said that because those guys know what the narrative is? Hey, we got players, but we just don't have enough experience. And that might be the position that holds Nebraska back because can they stop the run? Well, maybe they're better at rushing the passer than they are stopping the run. I'm just right. Maybe. But do you think he said that, guys, intentionally because he knew it'd get run and he wants those guys to be confident and not think about, oh boy, it's first timers, really outside of Riley Van Poppel.
Yeah. Oof. Probably
it might have been speaking into existence publicly for my guys to hear it.
I'll tell you what,
their back.
I'll tell you what, if you think about Ty and Nash, though, Nash had superhuman strength, right? He's stronger than most defensive linemen on earth, like just straight up. And then Ty Robinson had the ridiculous measurables, at 6'6" or 315 and pretty good speed at that size. So those were two pretty freakish guys in some ways. But I feel like you had that in Keona Davis too. Keona Davis is an exceptionally built dude, right? Like so maybe part of his bullishness is just on the fact that, hey, I've faced a lot of teams. I don't see a lot of Keona Davises running around, right? Van Poppel, I mean, that dude just rolled up as a true freshman and played in the Big Ten and acquitted himself well, right? So I bet you if you're Rule, there's some truth to it also, where you're just like, it's not like the days of sliding Cam Meredith from DN to D tackle, right? It's not like it's not like slim pickings around here. It's, we got some body types, we got some players. I don't know if you have enough though. That's the worry. It's because outside of Van Poppel, Judy, and
Lenhart.
And I guess when I'm thinking D-line, just with the way Nebraska's defense is structured, I'm thinking more inside guys or guys that can play inside. They can't. They might slide outside, but so I'm thinking of like Keona Davis, Van Poppel, Judy, right?
I'm curious the health of Malcolm Simpson. Heard good reports out of him, but last we saw him using a sling. So
don't know a thing about him.
I think Nebraska has three
games
quietly a
good pickup in the recruiting class.
Is it Jalen George, the transfer from Middle Tennessee State Tech University?
State.
Don't forget the hyphen.
Yeah. Well, and then there's Gabe Moore, who, he had a body. I think do you guys believe that they will rush the passer better from the defensive line than they did last year?
I don't know about from the D line.
They're supposed to with Davis and Winery.
I mean, that could go a long way in determining who plays.
I think as an entire defense, you'll see it more. And they've alluded to that you're going to send guys from different spots. And I think you have enough of those hybrid types to do it, right? I think you got guys that can come off the edge.
And Shavers, they're gonna be given the green light to go kill people.
Yeah. Weary is another guy that hopefully – Lenhart's another guy.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think Nebraska's got 3 games to figure that out. I think they've got to come out with Cincinnati. You're probably going to see who they plan on being, the mainstays, if you will. I hate that term, of the defensive line, But then you have Akron and Houston Christian for auditions to figure out who's going to be in the correct rotation as you get into Michigan and Michigan State. They relied so much with so many snaps last year with Ty and Nash. There wasn't a heavy rotation of getting a lot of snaps for backups. So I think you're going to have those two games after Cincinnati going, okay, who's stepping up? Who understands the assignments? Who knows where they're supposed to be at the right time and lining up and doing whatever against this? So that's where you're probably going to see the depth become more realized after week 3. And then week 4, things should be set from there on out. I don't think you're going to have a clear-cut answer going into Cincinnati and saying, here are our front guys, here are the backups, and this is the way we're going to go forward. Because you've got 2 games, as we'll see on the board, that I think we will pretty much put in the win column for Nebraska, where they can start not just testing depth, but figuring out who's going to be a significant player on the D-line.
And you got to have that depth in the D-line, because D-line and O-line are 2 places where it is rare to see all your starters start all 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the fact that, God forbid, there could be injuries during fall camp that happen. I mean, every single year you deal with guys in fall camp. I would put it the number at 1 to 2 starters you end up losing in fall camp, or guys that are going to play a significant amount due to some sort of injury that happens. That's just the reality of fall camp. And D-line is a place I worry about that more than anywhere else. I feel comfortable with Nebraska's top line guys. I feel comfortable with Judy, Riley Van Poppel, and Linhart being your 3 guys. You probably have McCullough also playing along the line of scrimmage as a linebacker, but he's more of a D lineman based on how his usage is going to be. But if any of those guys go down, whether it be in fall camp or throughout the season, I start looking at the end of the season. I start looking at November, and I go, if any of those guys aren't playing against a Penn State, against an Iowa, oh boy, I get a little bit worried. That's my concern with the D-line. Not the top line, but what happens whenever those guys have to sit out a game or miss 4 games, or God forbid miss the season due to injury, because it's rough and tumble in the Big Ten, and it's rare to see guys play every single game and a significant number of snaps every single game.
Well, you got to bring along guys that are being developed in season right now. By that point in November, to offset what you may suffer as the season goes on.
Well, it would be nice to at some point say the defensive line has gotten better at Nebraska, not because they played against Cincinnati, Akron, or Houston Christian, but they played against a pretty good offensive line every day.
Yeah,
the offensive line has made the defensive line better. I'm also curious on this. You know, you have an whole off season. Cincinnati is preparing for the number 1 opponent. Yeah, they're looking at some other teams in the Big 12, but their focus has been on Cincinnati or on Nebraska. If you are Cincinnati's OC, what film are you watching of John Butler?
Boston College. Watching the bowl game.
Boston College.
Even that being said, I don't know how.
I don't think that was what. Yeah, I see where you're going, Elijah. I don't think that's exactly what he will be doing.
I mean, you have a lot of different personnel in that front 7. I think the front 7, the film, and it was a lot of almost 4-2/2-4, depending on how you look at it, where I don't think that is even similar to what the defense looks like this year, because the defensive line is going to be so different.
You have to go back to when he was at Penn State.
I mean, the game has kind of changed a little bit, but yeah, that was the last time. I think that's a wild card for Nebraska, because the personnel is different, and what they're going to do in terms of a mindset is different. Really, you saw bits and pieces against Boston College, but not to the full extent. Plus, you look on the back end, I think they're better in the defensive backfield. Yeah. You know, you had some guys that were out, and what they're going to do with those guys. So that's something to keep in mind, is Nebraska's kind of got the unknown of their defense going against Cincinnati until, they figure it out after a couple of series.
Given where you're at,
defense is who? Is it the D line, the linebackers, or secondary, Sharpie? If you're circling the unit that'll lead this defense this year,
initially defensive backs.
Okay,
I'm right there with you.
But I think that is open to change before the season's over. Not that they will regress, but I think the linebacker core will really take a big step during the course of the season.
But yeah, if you look at the secondary between Singleton, Hartzog, and Buford, 3 dudes that you can trust at safety, I think, like for sure. I might even be leaving somebody out. And Hartzog and Buford have been moved to corner a couple times, but just out of necessity. I don't think it's their natural position, and I don't think that's where they should be.
And it won't,
right?
and it won't this year because they have enough depth.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. And so then at corner, you're probably looking at Andrew Marshall, the transfer from Idaho,
And Donovan Jones.
Donovan Jones is an option, and
He
then
basically played the
right.
entire of the bowl game.
And we haven't even talked about Caleb Binning yet.
Mhm.
Right. So there are plenty of options in the secondary. You could get creative there. Yeah. I think that's probably, and you can, to Elijah's point, you can probably withstand a couple of injuries there and still be all right.
Okay.
Yeah, where you don't have to move guys around. I mean, this is, look at Hartzog. We know what his challenges are, but he's been a yo-yo. Is he finally going to learn? Yeah. He's going to play one position, and he's going to play situational football, where he's not gonna have to be on an island for an entire game.
No, he's one of my favorite players.
Or the final 2 minutes.
Honestly.
I think he's a guy that you use much more, as Gary said, situationally. I think you use him. I mean, that's a nickel back in my eyes. The guy that you bring in, we need that fifth defensive back on the field. But I don't think it's going to be Nebraska playing 5 defensive backs on the field like they did the past 2 seasons, where Gifford was a kind of that tweener guy he could play up in the box, he could play back in the back end and play more of a safety role. I don't see that guy in Nebraska's defense this year. Personally. So I think you're playing a lot more 4 defensive back looks, and then you can bring in Hartzog as a 5th defensive back on situations when you need it.
Elijah, I'm with you. So now that we have all of these options, let's go back to the original topic of the day, that in case of emergency, when do you break the glass? So if it's not Tommy Hill getting hurt, so Malcolm Hartzog has to go back to cornerback, what is the, Schmitty, you set the tone for the day. What is the
Sterling Schmidt?
Right. Well, but
Sterling Schmidt set the tone for the day.
So what is the in case of emergency break glass? And I feel like I should take if 15 gets hurt, that's too obvious. But what is the break glass emergency?
It's Emmett.
Probably. Yep. I mean, the fact that
it's absolutely Emmett, because we still don't know, do we, fellas, what's behind him? There's been, a lot of smoke in a good way for Nelson. Like they love what he can do. He's pretty gifted. We all haven't seen it.
I like him. I think you're not moving Mosey to running back though, unless you have plans to get him on the field a lot this year.
I think you move Mosey as a guy for your third down back role that is just going to be a matchup problem out of the backfield catching the football. I mean, I don't see Mosey, not that he can't, not that he didn't in high school, but I don't see his touches getting or happening from a traditional handoff run game. It's going to be swing pass or send him up the seam on a option route.
I think
he's got size.
I think him and Emmett are basically the same size, right?
They're kind of the same player.
Yeah. So that's why I see him more as a slot running back.
Well, and do you guys remember? I brought this quote up multiple times. Do you remember what Kurt Signetti said after the Nebraska game last year, where he talked about the fact that they had 3 running backs that could all do similar things out of the backfield and how that made it more difficult to prepare for it? And I think there was a little bit of a backhanded shot there with Nebraska, because we knew, and we talked about it plenty last year, you knew the type of plays Nebraska was running last year based on which running back was in the game. I think Mosey and Emmett Johnson are that similar style where you can have both those guys in and you don't quite know what the offense is doing just based on personnel. That's why I think you move him there as a guy that you plan to play a lot.
So let me throw this out, because I brought this up on my show yesterday. It's third. Well, let me first give you a number from last year. Dante Dowdell had an 89% success rate on 3rd and short. He's at Kentucky. It's 3rd and short. Who gets the ball?
Heinrich Harburg?
Well,
does Dana get creative like that? But I mean, realistically, you're probably looking at
is it Ives?
Ives or
maybe Ives has the build. Ives has the build. If they can get him to lower his pad level. Does Ramir have
any eligibility? Probably not.
Now, did they move? Did the updated roster has Genatone at running back? Did y'all see that? Did y'all notice that? Vincent Genatone?
I did not notice that.
They have him listed at running back right now. Remember, that was the guy from North Platte who
He's an incredible athlete.
And went off to Montana.
Benches 450, runs a 4.3 or something. I don't.
He will be one of Mike Eckler's favorite players.
Yeah. So he's listed at 6 foot 225. That's an under the radar move. He's played on special teams already. He's a very gifted athlete, former wrestler guy and track guy, which
he was the athlete of the year in high school, I think.
Yeah, that's not normal to be a track and wrestling guy, right? A sprinter and a wrestling guy. Like,
why are we talking about third and short running game? Isn't Dana going empty?
Well, so it's kind of ties into what Elijah was saying.
TV draw, maybe
is Nebraska can be very unpredictable because we on third and short, it doesn't mean that you have to run between the guards. You could run a little zone. If you feel that Emmett Johnson could get you 2-3 yards, why not run Emmett Johnson? I think Nebraska will be unpredictable. Here's the thing about Harburg, and I hope this is the case, and it may be just it was the case when he was the quarterback and he would start to run, is that the fumble issues of his first year are completely gone. We don't ever have to talk about that. We don't worry about that. He didn't really touch the ball enough last year where he'd go, oh, they're back. But if they're going to put the ball in his hands more, I hope that does not resurface. I hope that was just a quarterback thing, that when he was running as a quarterback, he forgot about bringing the bread with him. Yeah. So that's would be my hesitation. But back to the original point is they can be very unpredictable in that scenario because I think they have options. I think that's the key this year is that all these different position groups, what we were just talking about defensive backs, where if their cornerbacks can play man-to-man the majority of the time, I mean, now we're cooking with peanut oil. They have coached and they have recruited themselves into options if guys are not working out.
I'll tell you
more than they have in the first 2 years.
How about this? You have to pick one guy, third and short, like you were saying. Bonner.
Yeah. Reverse. Why not?
Bonner.
Why not go north-south?
I mean, 6'2", 225, physical. Mm-hmm. Bonner could do that. I wonder if that's why they moved Genatone also. Like, is he
I'm wondering, okay, if they already broken the glass then? If the worry is are they worried about Emmett Johnson being healthy? So we're not seeing Parker, we're not seeing Ives. Let's move Genatone and Mosey to running back because we're not seeing option 2, option 3 with the backs we have already in the room.
I mean,
Mackay Nelson, Williams. I mean, there's a lot of running backs in that room.
Red Wine nails it.
If we're already talking about what do we do with, yeah, exactly right. Because who's going to take the Ty Robinson lead block role or Elijah Judy? But if we're already talking about what's Nebraska's option going to be behind Emmett, and it's going to be Mosey or now they've got Genatone moved over there. Why isn't Ives in the conversation? Mackay Nelson in the conversation? Kenneth Williams in the conversation? Are they already breaking the glass?
No, Nelson's in the conversation. Nelson will be one of your top 3 running backs.
He's been talked about since he's arrived. Yeah. Rule has singled him out several times. I would say probably more so than any player that doesn't play. He talks about Mackay Nelson a lot.
I mean, doesn't it feel like this is Quentin Ives has 4 weeks?
Fair.
Parker?
Yeah,
we'll give him a longer runway.
Yeah, the Parker thing is peculiar.
He's coming off injury, right? Injury and then some weight
but
yes, one of those guys, Gary, that you talked about earlier, like could quietly get shuffled away during fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, he's been here for a while now, and he's got 6 carries for 7 yards. It's go time. I mean, it's that's why there's guys, there's offensive tackles, that have got recruited and have been here for 2-3 years. I mean, it's go time. I mean, guys are going to get bumped, and I'm not saying they're going to leave the program. They're going to pull what was it? Tyler Moore, the kid that transferred to Florida, had the whole girlfriend thing and blew up in the middle of camp and left. But there's going to be guys that you thought, hey man, they might play. That all of a sudden they're not playing because there's better guys at that position. So Ives just strikes me as he's got 4 weeks just to remind everybody why Matt Rule last year talked a lot about him, because it's open behind Emmett. I mean, that's supposed to be his job But look at us. We're not even really talking about him in the conversation. We're talking about a guy that hasn't been here. He's been here 8 months and has already moved to running back because they want to get him on the field. Now, that's a little bit different, I think, with Mosey and his skill set compared to Ives. But I think Ives has got 4 weeks to just say, you know what? I'm still here, and I'm the backup running back. I don't care if it's a little Makai Nelson or who else. I'm the guy. Because if you're not, that train's going to move pretty quick, I believe.
Connor Booth, maybe a dark horse too. True freshman, right? See how he does. Comes in with good size too. See, that is one thing you look at it. It's if these heights and weights are to be believed. The typical running back in Nebraska right now is basically 6 foot 200. That right? That's good base size. There's not a lot of tiny scat backs. They all seem to have the kind of height and weight that you're looking for. But I think the fact that you moved Genatone and Mosey over, tells you that there's not a lot of comfort in what's behind Johnson.
Okay, so let's do the math here real quick. The top 2 running backs last year for Nebraska had 260 carries between them. Emmett had 117. I think that's going to go up. Ramir had 54 last year, and then I don't count Dylan's. So there's 143 carries that are at Kentucky. How many of those does Emmett get? And how many then those are dispersed amongst Barney, Mosey, Harburg, Bonner? I mean, guys that are not traditional running backs that they'll be able to use. Because I think Emmett probably is. I would be surprised if Emmett has less than 150 to 160 carries this year.
I think Emmett needs 200 carries.
I think he gets 20 touches a game minimum.
Yeah, that's the question. Is how many run plays are there going to be? How many carries are going to be available? How many attempts is Raiola going to have per game? Yeah. That's probably going to be north of 25 to 30 range on average. So how many running plays will there be? True running plays.
15 carries and 5 catches for Emmett, I think, is a typical game for him.
Which would get him, that'd be what, just under 200 carries and probably 240 touches, 250 touches.
Mm-hmm. And the only reason that changes is if you're up by 40 on Houston Christian after the first quarter, and you just take him out, right? And he just doesn't. He had 6 carries for 4 touchdowns or something, right? Like then, all of those bets are off. But I think in a typical game, you're trying to get him at least 20 touches.
So how about this? Schmidt bringing up 200 carries. Anthony Grant was 236 touches a couple of years ago. He carried the ball 218 times.
And you know what? When he held
and he wasn't really a guy you utilize out of the backfield to catch the ball.
No, and
so
except for the Rutgers KO, but no, I think that number's healthy, and I think the thing that will be welcomed is with Dana. If they're having success running the ball, there's not going to be this time to flinch feel. Let's start throwing it now because we need to get our quarterback and wide receiver game going right. We need to highlight those guys too. It's not YMCA ball. Whatever's working, I think Dana's going to roll with, and then he'll go to something else. I mean, it's good. It's good that he'll know what to attack, not going to bog you down with 4 billion plays, and hope that they can run them all at the same high level of execution. So that's the least of my concerns. Whatever the hell the game plan is, good, and go make hay,
guys.
And he'll stick with it.
Guys, remember whenever we said at 8:50 we were going to look at the first 3 games?
I know. I was trying to get there.
And for those that are listening in podcast form and it's not live, we are now at 9:17 a.m. So we've missed that mark by just a touch.
Should we do
it was 8:50. It was 8:50-ish.
Yeah. Should we do the 3 games before we get out, fellas?
Yeah. Here, I'm working on this.
And then there'll be one last thing, and Michigan will enter the conversation.
What would Nebraska's linebacking room look like with Ernest Hausman, Gary?
Better. Okay.
It would be filthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So look with this Excel
Blue?
magic. Here's the whole season, right? Here's the whole
Okay.
season, right?
Well,
But
you got the
we are gonna-
playoffs, huh?
and the natty. Yep, gonna hide it. Gonna hide it. Just in case we have to update it later. If
Wait.
there's a natty, I don't have to add a
Why
row.
not? Why not?
Yeah, where's your belief? Hide. So we're not even gonna show. Oh, I gotta hide the totals too. So that way we're saving it, right? We don't really know. So let's start with game 1, Arrowhead Stadium, Cincinnati v. Nebraska. Nebraska will own the 95% to 5% fan base edge in the stadium. So it's a home game, essentially. Late at night, 8 o'clock. Let's go. What are we thinking?
I'm thinking the Schmidt RV may make its debut down in Arrowhead.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. How does that equate to a win or a loss, Chris?
Well, it's how much Coors Lights gets consumed. What's the spread of Coors Lights?
By the way, what is there a line on this one right now?
6.5.
Half.
Okay.
As I look at it now, I feel like this is probably going to be more of an offensive football game. Sorsby is a guy that I know he ranked above Ryle in the Athletics quarterback rankings. I'm not sure that's right, but he is probably the biggest threat that I see on their offense. Their offensive line is all right. They're all right for the Big 12. I don't think they're a Big 10 offensive line by any means. I am not sure running the football is going to go great for them. We'll see about that, but I think they added some speed on the outside. I think they have Sorsby. I think this is a game where they end up throwing it more than they run the football. But I don't think that's necessarily the best thing for Nebraska because I think Sorsby is a good quarterback. Now, as Gary said, Nebraska's strength of the defense is likely going to be the secondary in game 1. I still think Cincinnati puts up some points. To flip it around, strength of Cincinnati's defense is probably their front 4. A lot of doubts on what their back end is going to be. We'll see how camp plays out for them. But I think it could be a game where both these teams can throw the ball around the yard a bit. I think Nebraska's got a little bit more firepower. I'm not going to lock in a prediction. Unless I have to, unless there's
of course you have to. That's why I've got to put it. Yes, that's what we're doing. That's the whole. That's the whole thing.
Nebraska wins 35-24 on July 26th.
We are allowed to make. We'll just make this right now. We are allowed to make 2 revisions the week of.
Okay. So the absolute rough draft. Okay.
2 revisions, and that's it. You get 2 mulligans the week before the season starts. So we're going to put a win here. Know what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got to Brandon. We got to catch him up later. Yeah. Let's go back. Bill, where are you at for the Cincinnati?
Any team, any school that gives up a home game to go play in an NFL stadium in the suburbs of the opponent deserves to lose.
They deserve to lose, but will they?
Yeah. I mean, look, if they had taken this game to, let's say, Cincinnati's NFL stadium or something like that, okay.
Or Indy, which they tried to do.
No, just go ahead. Look, they'll sell it out if they go play it in Kansas City. We're going to get a big fat check. We really don't care what happens, win or lose. So Nebraska wins. Just they're playing a Nebraska home game in Kansas City.
Okay. Looks like we have 2 in the win column. Elijah, did you already?
Yeah, put me down for a win. And as of now, I will say Nebraska wins 34-27.
Okay, so we're doing score predictions even. Wow. Okay.
Less to be accurate and more just to give you a feel for how I think the game goes.
Might have to update the spreadsheet to account for score predictions. That would be interesting.
Yeah, you will.
Because then we'll get even season totals on here's what Nebraska's offense is going to average over the course of the year.
Ooh.
According to these predictions, right?
Maybe that's something we can do for that last week.
#math. Gary.
Nebraska wins and Nebraska covers.
Okay. I'm going with the win also, but that it comes with a big dash of hope, not necessarily logic, because Nebraska on similar stages hasn't done very well in a very, very long time. So we'll see. Nebraska not at home, although it's a home-like game. against a quality opponent. Wouldn't call them great, but quality. But yeah, I see Nebraska pulling away with that one, winning by like 13. Okay, let's move on to Akron, who, from what I understand, is one of the worst programs in Division I football. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay. So, will Nebraska beat one of the worst programs in Division I football? Do we have to talk a lot about this one? Or is there any concern from anybody in this stream right now?
No.
Okay. All right. So, we're going to go 1. 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 We're going to go 1.
Yeah, give me the Nebraska like 38-3 in that one.
We also got Houston something.
No amendment there. No amendment.
And we predicted last week. Now, are we sure? Is this not a situation where it's like, hey, they're in a recruiting hotbed and they're going to get also rans and they're going to show up with talent and something to prove and Texas high school football and
no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, we already added that last week. Okay. So Nebraska, according to us, starts 3-0. And we will hide these three rows and add the next 3 rows, and it gets tougher. It gets tougher from here on out on next week's show.
Yeah. And we can also talk Bud Crawford here if we want to. That's the same weekend as Houston Christian. I think I have more intrigue in the Bud Crawford fight than I do in the Nebraska Houston Christian game.
I don't know what to, man. I go back and forth on that one because Crawford did not look as good in his last fight. Was it Madrimov? Is that was his name?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
He did look a step slower than he normally does. He got caught a couple times. That always worries me with Crawford, where he leaves himself open sometimes for shots, but it's more out of cockiness than it is like laziness. He's just feeling it. He's like, come on. And so he gets caught sometimes. It worries me about him getting caught by a Canelo shot.
But on the flip side of this, I also think he has more time to adjust to the higher weight and to spar at the higher weight and to be a little bit more ready for the type of size that Canelo brings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also got a pretty significant reach advantage on Canelo that people don't really talk about much.
Do you think for that game against Houston Christian, they will have the hologram Bud Crawford lead Nebraska on the field
That would be so
for the tunnel walk?
Could.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Like, we do not do enough with holograms in this world. Those things are incredible.
Well, ever since they brought Tupac back at Coachella with the hologram and people believed that it was real, I think we've had to have like, okay, maybe we need to step back a little bit.
Could you imagine the tunnel walk opens and there's Bob Devaney, right? Right. And
here's what Nebraska. This is just a suggestion for the new athletic director for special events and weddings and funerals with the Nebraska Athletic Department. After the Houston Christian game, sell some tickets and show the Bud Crawford fight in Memorial Stadium.
people would stick around,
right?
Good idea.
You got to pay for it, and added bonus to your ticket and your fee. You get to watch the Bud Crawford fight at Memorial Stadium and help Nebraska pay for whatever player they want to get next.
Could you wheel in additional screens? Or would you just be stuck watching on the Jumbotrons?
They're upgrading that screen right now, aren't they? I could have sworn. Yeah.
I think it's been upgraded, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it would kill the bar scene in Lincoln, but,
the bars usually to order pay-per-view have to pay out thousands per capita.
And Nebraska would too. But I'm just saying, if Nebraska, drops a few $1,000s on getting a pay-per-view in Memorial Stadium and telling people stick around and pass the hat, there's your first idea for the new athletic director for special events, weddings, and funerals.
It's on Netflix though.
And showers.
Yeah, it is on Netflix. I still think bars would have to pay extra to screen it at their bar. That being said, watch party at my house.
Oh, sweet. How big
What
is
if what if Rule said, "Hey, I'll pick up the tab for people to be able to watch the fight in the stadium"?
What about the fact that Canelo?
It'd be pretty popular.
Canelo and
we'd cut the post-game show short.
If you look at the arc of Canelo and Crawford's careers, though, they've kind of reached the top. They're just starting their descent. Canelo hasn't looked great either.
His last fight, he didn't look like what Canelo is supposed to look like.
No.
Like a couple months ago.
No. Do you think he's got high boxing IQ? He does, right? He's not just a puncher, but he is a little one note. He's not super athletic. Doesn't move super well. Crawford he's probably the best athlete in boxing, like just straight up athlete. And that dude he can move. I don't know. It's hard to bet. It's hard to bet against a guy that's never lost, right? Like he's just flat out never lost.
This is the question from Game Dog. What would the stadium have to pay to get pay-per-view for $85,000?
That's a good question.
I wonder if Bud Crawford would be able to pull a little sweetheart deal with the promoters and get a discount.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
What if he just says my last fight ever will be in Memorial Stadium?
Well, I think that's.
I think that's going to happen.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think in the next couple of years we'll have Luke Combs and Bud Crawford at Memorial Stadium and maybe the Bananas.
He did say, Bud did say, I'm not sure if you guys saw that interview with ESPN. He did say that was his dream venue for a fight. So that's going to happen.
Just looking this up, the Canelo Crawford fight, according to AI, will not be pay-per-view because it's streamed live globally on Netflix. And actually, this makes sense now because I saw a Max Kellerman interview recently. And he was talking about he thinks it might be the most watched fight ever. Literally, because of that fact. Because it's a headliner fight. It's on Netflix, which a ton of people have, obviously. And it's not costing you anything extra. When was the last time that happened? Like, we all just assumed. We're all sitting here like, oh, that's going to be $80, $90, $100, whatever. Bar's going to have to pay $6,000.
Probably the last time it happened is when we got to see Tyson's ass.
Fair.
And some people it froze on that scene.
On that note,
yeah.
Hey, but in all honesty, remember what a disaster that was with buffering and everything that was going on. The Christmas Day games were so much better, and it looked awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this foray into live sports that there'll be no issues because they'll have the largest audience ever.
Yeah, they need
except for Happy Gilmore at 2 a.m. yesterday.
They need some dedicated pipes for that stuff.
It was a good movie last night. Happy Gilmore 2 was pretty good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it was fun. It got a little long, but for the most part, it was good. They did
never a good thing to say about a movie.
No, they got a little wacky with this competing golf league.
No, Happy Gilmore got wacky? No.
But it was someone was on some incredible narcotics to finish the script for that movie.
Yeah.
As twisty and turny as it was. So we will be back at this tomorrow, 10:30 Sunday live with the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe.
Live from Selleck Hall.
Right. The Average Joe Sports Show YouTube, on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio. It's the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Mark Kraynak, Bill Doleman, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. We'll talk to you next time. Get ready to go camping. And more tomorrow with 10:30 Sunday Live Average Joe's. Talk to you then.